fried to golden perfection. This dish can be challenging to make, so in this video, I'll break down the steps and share lots of tips and tricks for guaranteed success. For the ingredients, have sugar, active dry yeast, water, bread flour, baking powder, salt, and vegetable oil. In a small bowl, add half a teaspoon sugar and 1 heaping teaspoon active dry yeast. To activate the yeast, use hot water that is between 100 and 110 degrees Fahrenheit. I just use hot water from the tap. Add 2 tablespoons hot water and then combine everything together. Set the bowl aside and let rest for 10 minutes. In a mixing bowl, add the bread flour, sugar, baking powder, and salt. Using the dough hook, mix on medium speed for 10 seconds. The activated yeast should be foamy, so now add to the dry ingredients. Add the water and then start mixing on low speed. For the first minute, scrape around the bowl and push the dry ingredients into the center. In about 90 seconds to 2 minutes, a dough should start to form. Mix until the dough is smooth, about 8 minutes altogether. The dough should be soft but not sticky and bounce back when you press it with your fingers. Brush vegetable oil into a large bowl, coating it completely. Add a little bit to your palms as well. Gently pat the dough and shape it into a rough ball. Coat the dough with a thin layer of oil. Cover with plastic wrap or a kitchen towel and place into the oven. Let the dough rest until it doubles in size, approximately 2 hours. Keep the oven light on to generate some heat, and this will help the dough rise faster. Coat a spatula with flour and then use this to push the dough into a ball. Dust the work surface with flour. Transfer the dough and then knead 10 times. Next, shape into a log that's about 12 inches long. Use a rolling pin to flatten the dough into a large rectangle measuring 20 inches by 7 inches by 1/4 inch thick. Trim off the excess dough and set this aside for later. Cut the dough into 16 strips, with each strip being 1 1/4 inch wide. To make a breadstick, first dip the skewer in water. Pressing gently, glide the skewer down the center of one of the strips of dough. Take a second strip of dough and place it on top of the first one. Using a separate and dry skewer, again press down into the center of the strip. Add vegetable oil into a large pan. There should be about 1.5 inches to 2 inches of oil. Heat the oil until it's about 365 degrees Fahrenheit. Slide the dough into the hot oil. The dough should start to puff up, so flip it over immediately. Fry for 2 seconds and then flip it over again. Alternate the 2 seconds of frying and flipping until the breadstick is completely puffed up. When rotating the breadsticks, be careful not to pierce or pinch the dough with your chopsticks. Continue frying until the breadsticks are golden brown. This takes about 2 minutes. Transfer to paper towels and blot gently. Continue with these steps until all 8 breadsticks are made. The breadsticks are just scrumptious when hot and fresh. They're puffy and crispy on the outside. Inside are unique hollow pockets, giving them an airy and slightly chewy texture. Cut the leftover dough into thin strips. Fry until golden, and then dust with powdered sugar for a delicious sweet treat. Here are some tips and tricks to help with the recipe. To get just the right consistency for the dough, you may need to adjust the water levels slightly. If this is your first time through the recipe, add the water but reserve 2 tablespoons. As you mix the dough, gradually add the water as needed. For example, this dough here is a bit too dry. It's crumbly and not pulling together. Add the water 1 tablespoon at a time and mix until the dough has the right consistency. This dough is too wet. Notice how sticky and squishy it is. Spread out the dough and then add 1 tablespoon bread flour. Continue mixing and adjust with more flour if needed. The resting time may vary depending on the air temperature. The temperature of my oven with the oven light on is about 75 degrees. The dough took about 1.5 hours to double in size. If your air temperature is cooler, it may take more than 2 hours. These breadsticks have a really unique shape that's achieved by gluing the centers together with a little bit of water. If the edges are stuck together, gently separate. It helps to assemble the dough for one breadstick and then frying instead of stacking all the dough pieces at once. This is because the dough becomes softer and stickier the longer it rests. Use plenty of oil, enough for the breadstick to float freely without touching the pan. Frying at the right temperature is really important and can make or break this recipe. It really helps to have a digital thermometer so you can adjust the heat up or down as needed. The breadstick won't puff up properly if the oil temperature is too cool or too hot. Slide the breadstick in from the side of the pan so you don't splash yourself with hot oil. For the first 30 to 45 seconds, rotate the breadstick continuously so it puffs up evenly. Store the breadsticks at room temperature for up to 3 days or 7 days in the refrigerator. Optionally, freeze for up to 3 months. To reheat, bake in the toaster oven at 350 degrees for 5 minutes, 10 minutes if frozen. The fried breadsticks make awesome snacks and are yummy additions to